back, everyone, to Pod of Thrones. I'm Jeff.
I'm Jennifer.
So, last time we spoke, it was Zach Snyder's Justice League. That was a hell of a thing, huh?
Yes. Very long.
So I wanted to start with that. So, I mean, okay, that was a long podcast in the making. That was 4 hours plus of watching, plus 2+ hours of recording.
Oh my gosh.
Hell of a time that was.
So long.
So we were kind of tired. We had to save up, and I thought we'd be back last week with the WonderCon report, and we weren't. And there's a couple reasons for that.
Well, yep. I feel like after every chapter, we got less, we just had less and less energy. It was long.
I don't know. I mean, the whole thing around Chernobyl at the end was very long.
Yes.
I mean, the thing with Flash circling around at top speed for a half an hour saying, I can't hold it. That was a little much.
Yes.
We did get some viewer comments, a couple. So I did want to just talk about that stuff real quick. Yeah. So first of all, remember how there was a human looking lady hanging out with Darkseid, and she kind of looked like Brienne of Tarth?
Yep.
Okay. So it turns out that is a comic book character, and we've been told by a couple of our listeners that her name is Granny Goodness.
Granny Goodness. Oh my
Granny Goodness. Yeah. I don't know what to say about that. That's a terrible name. I mean, maybe it's fine for comic books because the comic books get a little cheesy, but even in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that would be a little much. And the DC Universe is so dark and gritty. It's hard to imagine them using that.
Well, yeah. I mean...
They did make her not look like a granny.
What's her superpower?
She's a badass.
That's it?
Well, she's in charge of a bunch of superpowered troops. I don't know that she might have powers herself. I could look it up, but I'm not going to right now.
Okay.
She's a badass. She's a leader of warriors. But in the comic book, she does look like a granny.
Not an old lady.
Not decrepit old. What was her name? Agatha from WandaVision. In the comics, she looks like a scrawny, skinny little old lady.
Really?
With a cat. Yeah. Really old, white hair, everything. And so they redid the concept, but it's okay. You're working with the name Agatha Harkness. It's one thing to do a re-envisioning, and they did a re-envisioning for Granny Goodness too. But boy, that name. I don't know what you can do with that name.
It's a pretty lame name.
Now, by all indications, none of this matters. Because
I'm sure it came from somewhere, so it was...
It was...
I mean, who knows where her name was born from? I know, but maybe she was someone's grandma or something and saw her grandson die, and now she's Granny Goodness.
Maybe.
She's turned evil and...
maybe.
Runs, right?
And works for Darkseid, who's trying to destroy the universe with the anti-life equation.
Right.
Which, incidentally, apparently the anti-life equation, this thing that's on Earth that he apparently had and then forgot about.
What's the point of it?
For thousands of years. I guess it's a mathematical proof that life doesn't matter and it doesn't kill anybody. But when you show it to people and make them understand the anti-life equation, they lose their will to live. And then I guess they become parademons or something like that.
Well, all right.
I mean, I thought he was remaking people into parademons anyway, and that's why there's so many of them. But he lost the anti-life equation on Earth and then forgot it was there.
I don't know.
There are some problems with the movie, even though it was better. That whole part. I mean, it's cool that they added it in for maybe there's going to be a bigger universe, but then when you find that out, it's but if it's that important and you were on Earth and then you were scared to come back, I guess, but still, don't pretend like you're surprised it's there.
He didn't know where he was.
Oh, I was going to say is, by all indications, there's not going to be any more of this. They seem to be making more Aquaman and more Wonder Woman. Flash might get his own movie, and they're using those actors. But it doesn't look like they're going to continue Zack Snyder's work as far as the Justice League goes.
Well, at least not right now.
Not right
now.
now.
Who knows in the future what people decide to do.
True. And maybe the fact that this movie was fairly well received, especially in comparison to the original version, maybe that'll turn Warner Brothers' minds around. Like they were just kind of doing this seemingly just for fun, for giggles, or maybe just because they knew people would watch it. But they had said, I guess, before that it's not canon. I guess that was the official statement. Like what we saw in Zack Snyder's Justice League is not an indication of the future direction of the DC cinematic universe.
That's kind of rude.
A little bit. Kind of a letdown, because I would like more of some of those plot lines. Now, speaking of which, and I have to give a specific shout out to Arthur here. Good old Arthur.
Yay.
In Mexico. He wrote in about Injustice, because I was saying that whole end of the movie thing where it's the desolate wasteland and we find out that the reason Superman turned evil and joined Darkseid is because Lois Lane died and Joker did it, and maybe Robin died too and all that. And I said that sounds like they're leading into an Injustice storyline. Arthur did write in to say, first of all, that I was a little bit wrong, that there was an Injustice graphic novel before they made it into a video game, and the video game changed a few things.
Wow.
But he says, in it, Lois Lane is pregnant and gets killed by a bomb implanted by the Joker in her heart. Superman knew she was pregnant, and when he arrives on the scene, he kills the Joker with one punch through the guts. Oh. Now, that part right there, Joker's dead. Although Injustice, the version of Injustice I know of is like a multiverse thing, so I guess there could still be a Joker. Quite gory. But then he sets to Arkham to destroy all criminals, and that's when Batman makes a stand, but other superheroes like Nightwing take sides with Superman, and things get nasty. So there we go. And I said, like in the video game, they use a bunch of drugs too, because that's the only way that they can fight Superman, is some special pill that makes everybody that takes it as strong as Superman temporarily. And he said that is in the original graphic novel. It was developed by Lex Luthor, who becomes part of the Resistance because he hates Superman so much, I guess, that he has to be on the opposite side of Superman even then. Yeah. There was one other little thing involving Wonder Woman. He says, I don't like the approach the writers have with Wonder Woman because she is the one that makes Superman angrier with his former friends so she can give birth to the new son of Krypton. Like she riles up Superman to keep him angry because she wants to get in his pants.
Who?
Wonder Woman.
What?
Yeah.
That's not going to make it. She's still in love with what's his nuts.
Well, in the cinematic universe, yes, she had one boyfriend and she can't get over him. But apparently in the I know in the comics there have been times when Superman and Wonder Woman had some kind of relationship. I'm not sure what that was about.
Always, one would hope.
Well, it might have been.
Can you imagine what kind of baby they would make?
Pretty super baby.
Two gods.
At least her uterus could take the kicking.
Yeah.
Lois Lane, no.
Right?
Mm-hmm. As we already decided.
It was all meant to be.
I know that in the main canon that I am familiar with, at least before any of the reboot, from when I was in college, eventually Superman and Lois Lane do get married. But I think whether it's alternate universe or one of DC's many reboots, pretty sure Superman and Wonder Woman are together at some point. Now I'll probably hear about that if I'm wrong. Feel free to write in, Arthur, or anybody else. Yeah. So we got some feedback. So thanks for writing in, people. I do like to read that stuff. Even if I'm wrong, tell me when I'm wrong.
Please.
Mm-hmm. She loves it when I'm wrong. She loves it when I'm wrong. Oh, speaking of being wrong, though, Diego, our number one fan.
Yes.
He's listened to both of our podcasts, even the one we seem to not do
anymore. We've abandoned our kid-free weekend.
We barely have time to record one show anymore. He says that based on everything he's heard us talk about before, he is pretty damn sure that you saw Justice League in the theaters with the whole family the first time around. We didn't do an episode specifically about that after we saw the movie, but we did talk about it a couple times in the run-up to going to see the movie in the theaters. And then I think it was just so disappointing, it didn't really make the cut of having a full episode about it. Yep.
I don't know about that.
I trust him. He knows our show better than I do. So I believe in the power of Diego. Okay, so I did want to do a WonderCon report.
Okay, let's do that quickly.
I thought we might do that last week. But then it turned out there wasn't really a whole lot to talk about.
Right.
I mean, sometimes you make new discoveries of things. We certainly have, like, it was
plenty of discoveries at Comic-Con.
Right. It was at a Comic-Con where we first discovered that but decided that we should really watch The Walking Dead because we saw a preview for a new season and we were
we're like in Hall H, right?
Right, in Hall H. We were like, let's go binge 6 seasons of this now so we can watch the new stuff.
And we did. And we're still watching.
And we're still watching.
And
Fear the Walking Dead. We did not watch the other new Walking Dead show with the kids.
No, that's for teenagers.
We don't have time for that.
I ain't got time for that.
So unfortunately, now I have a list. I started keeping a list finally because I'm always losing track of shows that we talk about or nerdy shows. Maybe sometimes stuff we even haven't had time to talk about here, but we still watch. For instance, The Handmaid's Tale. I made a list of all the nerdy shows we love. And then I searched all through the WonderCon content for those shows and came up with basically nothing. Mm. So that's why there's really not much of a WonderCon report to report.
Right.
Like, no one's talking about Game of Thrones, man.
Because it's old news. That's what I'm saying. We got to call our podcast something else.
We did a panel once.
But we can't lose this name.
I got to sneeze.
That's you.
Oh, God. Excuse me. I would edit that out, but I'm sure I'm not going to. It takes time. We did a panel once at Stan Lee's Los Angeles Comic-Con. And I think we need to go back to that. I think we need to do a panel or two.
Too. Well, I was thinking, why didn't we who do you reach out to in this time of, how come there weren't more panels? Like Justice League or
there's 6 shows in the hopper for Game of Thrones. No one's talking about any of it.
We should talk about it.
I know.
Let's do it. I mean, we do talk about it, but we're going to have to figure out a better way to talk about it.
There is a Comic-Con coming up. Did you know that?
Should we do a panel?
I don't know that we can.
Yes, in July.
No.
Oh.
No, there's no Comic-Con in July.
You just said there's a Comic-Con coming up.
Yeah.
What?
But it's not July because the world won't be COVID ready.
No, but it'll be they'll do a pandemic one again.
Oh, well, that's an interesting question. Maybe they will.
Who should look into it.
But here's the thing. Okay, they're doing an in-person Comic-Con on Thanksgiving weekend.
That's not
in San Diego.
That's like far, far away.
It's in November. And I think there's going to be an LA Comic-Con in December. So maybe we could do something. But you're right. Maybe it's not, if it's not too late, maybe Comic-Con's looking for panels. We should look into that.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I think is going to be who's on the panel with us. We will have to find some more Game of Thrones people that still want to talk about Game of Thrones.
We could do Game of Thrones psychology.
We do know people that love to talk about psychology.
Maybe they already have their own panel.
I don't know. We'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
But yes.
Anybody have ideas?
We do have Lore Master Kevin. We haven't talked to him in a long time. He could probably help us figure out what's going to happen in some of these new shows.
Maybe.
So, yeah. It was just disappointing. Like, none of the stuff. I mean, I'm talking whether it's, again, things we haven't talked about, like The Handmaid's Tale or The Boys, which are things we want to talk about soon, but also, Stranger Things is coming back soon, Umbrella Academy, The Walking Dead stuff.
No Star Wars stuff.
Mandalorian, I looked for that.
Yeah.
Nothing about The Mandalorian.
It's crazy.
There was really nothing about WandaVision. I mean, just nothing. I even looked for Falcon and Winter Soldier because it's brand new. No, nothing. Witcher, Lovecraft Country, Westworld. I searched for all of these things.
Witcher.
There were no Witcher panels at WonderCon. Oh. This is what I'm saying.
And they just finished filming.
Did they?
Yes.
I
knew
they'd been filming. I didn't know they just finished.
Yeah.
Oh, I know why you know.
I know.
Should we talk about why you know?
No, I don't care.
Somebody really likes to look at Henry Cavill.
Yes, I do. I didn't have a thing for him before as Superman.
But really?
Yeah.
Like, not at all?
No, not at all.
He's too clean.
I had no idea that his body looked like that.
But he has his shirt off in that scene in the cornfield with Lois.
No, before. I mean, like when during the show, he was playing Superman. Did he?
What? What show?
The show.
I don't know what you're talking about.
There was a show. There was a TV series. No. Okay.
Smallville?
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of, maybe.
Oh my God, no, that was a Tom
Smallville?
Welling or something like. I think his name
I
was
don't
Tom
know.
Welling.
Anyway, no, I didn't have a thing for him as Superman.
Okay.
The
He's
Witcher.
I just think he's too clean. You like a dirty boy with long hair. That's why I'm growing my hair out. I want to be more like the Witcher. I figure my hair's going to turn white soon.
True issue is that Superman is just too moral. And we would not.
Oh, well, I don't have that problem, do I?
Right.
Okay.
He and I would, he would have some problems with me, I think.
Wow.
But The Witcher?
No, The Witcher would definitely cut you some slack.
Yes.
Yep. So yeah, the one thing, again, a show we haven't talked about, there was a Fear the Walking Dead panel, and that is a show we follow. Even that was, it's just not the same with it. It's just a Zoom call. Right.
The energy is just gone, and you're just kind of like watching another Zoom, yet another Zoom.
Maybe that's it. Like last Comic-Con, we watched a lot of panels and we did a whole report on it, and it didn't seem that bad. But maybe it's now because
that was Comic-Con. This is WonderCon.
Well, it's run by the same people. I'm just saying maybe we're just have Zoom burnout.
Well, maybe, but I don't think so. If they didn't have our shows, and our shows are, it's like the popular shows.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Both, maybe.
They couldn't afford it. I don't know.
You were looking at your phone and we're listening to the Fear the Walking Dead thing, which is basically a podcast because there's no real visual element. So, and I was looking at my phone too. And at one point you look up and you're like, God, they all just look so miserable.
Yes, they don't look happy at all.
It's really, you got to have a live crowd, honestly.
Yes.
It is.
It's much different. We saw Fear the Walking Dead and
Walking Dead the same year. And it was all so much fun.
And they totally turned us on to it. Yeah, they were so dynamic, and I don't know, Daryl even. I hated Daryl. And then I saw him at, well, no, I always hated Daryl. And then I saw him like halfway through the season change, and he's kind of okay now.
Oh, just now? Just this season? You finally started to like him okay?
Well, I think last season.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah. Sorry. Let's not talk about that. What are we talking about?
I will just give one honorable mention because it's the sort of thing that we should be doing, like having our own panel. There is this podcast that I just stumbled into a few months ago and wound up kind of falling in love with it. And they did a WonderCon panel where they talked about a couple different things. One of them was Parks and Recreation, a show I love and have watched many, many times. And it's a podcast called Bad Medicine, which is a guy who does podcasts. He's a funny dude. He's been like a Renaissance fair performer. He's like just one of those funny, interesting people. But he has a friend who is a medical emergency room physician.
Neat.
And they do this podcast called Bad Medicine. And actually, I think it's called Hi Everybody, a Bad Medicine podcast. And they watch a movie or an episode of a TV show that has something medical in it. Someone getting injured, someone seeing a doctor. There's all sorts of different reasons they would do it. And then they just talk about what's accurate and what's not.
Oh, fun.
And maybe the thing that lured me in the most, when I found their show, I was scrolling through the back catalog, and it was like episode 11 or something like that. Not the first thing they did, but they did talk about the human centipede, which bills itself as 100% medically accurate. Now, if you follow us, you know that on our other show, The Kid Free Weekend, we did talk extensively about the Human Centipede movies. I am a fan, even though I can't tell you why.
Is that because you don't want to tell us why?
No, I don't understand why. I shouldn't like those movies as much as I do, but they really hold a special place in my heart. Plus, we talked to a friend of ours who was in the third movie.
Yep.
So... yeah, that's what really lured me into. Now, every episode, at the very end of the episode, they decide whether or not, if a human centipede is, as billed, 100% medically accurate, which is what they claim, then how medically accurate was the thing they just watched.
And what'd they say?
For human centipede? Oh, did they agree that it was 100%?
Yeah.
No, definitely not. Although it wasn't as bad as you'd think.
No?
No. I mean, if you were going to do something as crazy as what they did, it wasn't... it was inaccurate, but it wasn't that bad. Mm-hmm. We should listen to that sometime while we're driving somewhere. Okay. But then, other shows are often more than 100% medically accurate because they're better than a human centipede.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, so...
a lot is.
Yeah. So I if you go to the WonderCon channel, you can find that show or look it up in your podcast app. I think they're fun people.
What was the Bad Medicine?
It's called Hi Everybody, a Bad Medicine podcast, which is Dr. Nick from The Simpsons. Every time he walks into a room, he goes, "Hi everybody."
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's what it's from. Okay. So that's the WonderCon report. Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
One thing I'm excited about from all of WonderCon. Then.
Oh no,
we're all sneezing. Then there's another big thing going on in the world of Game of Thrones. You know what it is.
I know what it is.
We are currently celebrating, HBO is currently celebrating, but of course we are too, Game of Thrones 10th anniversary.
Crazy.
It premiered 10 years ago. I think it's April 17th, so a few days after this goes out.
So much has changed since then.
Yeah. So HBO is doing a big celebration. And they've got a few things planned. I don't know if there's going to be more. They're hosting something called a marathon. A Game of Thrones watching marathon, not a marathon.
Marathon.
Okay.
Okay.
And we're all supposed to binge watch certain episodes. And Game of Thrones is donating to charity. Although I think it's, from what I read, they're kind of doing that anyway, whether we watch anything or not. But they just put up this fun page. It's on HBO.com. It's supposed to be on the HBO Max app, but I couldn't find exactly this. But they have a bunch of different paths that you can walk or run. Some of them, like one is just called Welcome to Westeros, and it's literally every episode that you're supposed to watch. But then there's one called Marathon by Combat, and it's got like one episode from season 1 and 2, although season 2 is Blackwater. But then when you get into later episodes, like season 4, they've got 4 episodes listed, including Watchers on the Wall. Season 5, of course, you've got Hard Home, along with a few other episodes. So all the ones where you have the biggest battles. There's a Path of Fire and Blood. There's a one called The Collection Has No Name, so all of Arya's best moments.
Did they name one Serpentine?
Let's see. Ice Walk, A Good Walk Spoiled. No. Nope. They did not name one Serpentine. You talking about zigging and zagging?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get away from those arrows? Yeah.
Yep.
That's a short path that guy did. What was his name? Rickon?
Yes.
Yeah. It's been a long time. So I don't know if we're going to be marathoning all of that stuff. We still need to rewatch season 8. That is on our to-do list.
I want to rewatch the whole thing. We just don't have time. If only we could just play it on, I guess we could put it on YouTube on like 2 times speed.
We cannot put Game of Thrones on YouTube.
Oh.
No. Unless we maybe buy it, maybe. But no, the HBO Max app doesn't let us play faster. Sorry. So there's that. So I closed my phone. So that's one of the things that's happening. They are also going to be doing, so HBO is surprising, and it's in an article, so I hope this was recorded in advance. Surprising a few couples who had Westeros-themed weddings with special anniversary gifts.
Oh, that's nice.
Including Thrones-themed barrels of wine, custom chalices, elaborate cakes.
Ooh.
There will be a new line of tie-in products, including a one-of-a-kind Imperial Egg by Fabergé.
Wow.
A collection of beers inspired by the series, and a bunch of new Funko Pop figures.
Neato.
If you're interested. I pulled those up. They're kind of cute. You've got Arya with her training sword, Khal Drogo with daggers. My favorite one is Ned Stark sitting on the Iron Throne, because he actually did that. And then there's also there's a Drogon that's a supersized pop, but he's made of iron.
Ooh,
because it's
heavy.
the Iron Anniversary. Well, I don't think he's like made of iron.
Well, I got you that Hodor one, and he's pretty heavy.
Yes. Yeah, the big Funko Pops are kind of weighty. If they actually made it out of iron, it'd probably break a shelf. And the other thing that I know of that we did watch is the reunion special. So I got all excited because I thought it was new content, but it turns out it's not new content. So if you have the Game of Thrones season 1 through 8 box set, then you might have already seen this reunion special because it was filmed in 2018. I do not have that. We watch it digitally.
Right.
So this is news to me, but it was pretty cool. We watched, it's 2 hours. If you go on HBO Max, there's 2 episodes. It's split in halves, but it's a 2-hour-long special hosted by one of my personal heroes, Conan O'Brien.
Yes.
I love him.
It was funny.
It was great to know that he watches Game of Thrones.
Well, you know him?
He's kind of a dork, but I don't know, like he nerds out over real history.
Okay.
So I don't know, like Game of Thrones is
then.
kind of inspired by history, but it's not history. It's fantasy, Dungeons and Dragons stuff, which I never got the impression Conan was really into.
Right.
But I'm glad he watched the show.
Yes.
Yeah. So here's the thing. You should go watch this. We did watch it. I wrote down a few little highlights here and there, maybe just to entice you. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
All right. Again, this was filmed in 2018, and I find that noteworthy because there were a couple references to Kit Harington drinking.
Right.
And when did he go into rehab? I feel like you looked this up. Was that 2019?
I don't know.
Oh.
But wasn't it before? It was just before the eighth season.
It was.
Wasn't it?
I don't know.
I feel
Maybe
like
it was right
just
after
before.
they filmed. I don't. Well, if he had already gone to rehab, then he did a bad job. I feel like it might have been after this was filmed. Like during Conan's monologue, he makes a racket by popping open a bottle of champagne, and Conan makes fun of him.
Right.
And then later on,
but was it rehab
reference.
for drugs?
I thought it was for drinking.
Huh.
But even if you're going to rehab for drugs, aren't you supposed to swear off alcohol
well,
too?
I mean, you should.
Yeah.
It's just kind of trading one thing for another.
All right. Okay, so they did this in segments where Conan brought people up onto the stage. The first one was quote-unquote House Lannister, where they brought up Nikolai Coster-Waldau, Peter Dinklage, Lena Headey, and then Conleth Hill, the guy who plays Varys.
Yes.
That was kind of weird. He's not part of House Lannister, but
Well, he hung out with Daenerys a lot.
he's very dry.
What do you mean?
Like, he seems like he's kind of funny, but he's so dry about it that
Yeah.
it's hard to tell if he's being a snarky bitch or if he's being a funny, sarcastic guy.
That's his character. That's who he's made himself to be.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think so. He still had his head shaved because he
I
had
don't
to
think
do
he
that
has
for the
much
show.
hair.
We saw him at Comic-Con once, and he had a full head of hair.
Maybe it was a toupee.
I hadn't thought of that. Now I must know the truth. Couple things we learned. Peter Dinklage was the one who suggested Lena Headey take a look at the script for the original Game of Thrones episodes.
Yes.
He was reading it and was like, hey, check this out.
Was he telling the truth about what they were doing before? Is that a true
Oh, yeah. They were
story?
working on, I think so. They were working on a pilot that we'll never see.
Uh-huh.
But it involved Peter Dinklage was a mad scientist, and there was a cat.
A cat
And a remote control car.
that drove around in a remote control car. Cats. And Lena Headey was in it also, and she
Right.
was, I don't know what her role was.
Can you imagine? It's hard to picture her in a
I
sitcom.
cannot. Mm-mm.
Like when I think of Lena Headey, and I guess it's Headey. I've always said Headey, but Conan said Headey, and she didn't correct him. When I think of her, I think of obviously Cersei, and then I think of like the first Purge movie. She was in that. I don't think of her in comedic roles, but maybe she's really great.
I'm sure she is. I'm
hope
sure she's great in everything.
She seems very fun.
Yes, she does.
Yeah. And then there was this big reveal. George R. R. Martin wrote Conleth Hill a letter about Varys.
Right.
It was secret. But he couldn't reveal it to anybody
Right.
until after the show was over.
Was it,
Should we
what
even
is it,
say?
Peter Dinklage? It was like, what the fuck? Or who was that? Was it Kit Harington?
No, it wasn't Kit. He wasn't on stage.
I think it was Peter Dinklage.
No one else got a letter. They were very offended. I guess all the letter says, you should still go watch the episode, but it just said Varys is ultimately a good person.
What kind of letter is that?
I don't know.
It's no secret.
Maybe Conleth was feeling like maybe Varys was kind of a shit, but
Maybe George was trying to give him direction because he felt like he was going in the wrong direction.
and he went out so badly.
I don't remember.
After all those years of being the ultimate spy master, he just like went out right in the open in the middle of a field and was like, hey, John, want to commit treason? And then he died later that night. Very silly.
We have to rewatch.
Yep. While the Lannisters were up there, Mark Addy came out. He's the actor that played Robert Baratheon. They pointed out that Robert never actually sat on the Iron Throne on screen, which is totally true. Never thought about it, but it's definitely true. We did find out that they were going to show the wild boar goring him, but they could not get that filmed because the boars were wild and hard to train to gore someone.
I mean, they could have got a pig and just had it like playing.
Super glued a horn on it.
Pigs can be playful and just have him like nudging his tummy or something, and then they...
Oh, they could have CGI'd it into a boar.
Right, CGI'd the pig and...
I mean, why not? They made the direwolves look way bigger than they were. They were like sort of big dogs, and then they made them into giant direwolves just with a little Photoshop and stretch that image out a little bit. They also brought Sean Bean out to sit with the Lannisters for a bit.
Mm-hmm. It was a little awkward, I think.
Sean Bean, not super charismatic on stage.
No.
I didn't think. Maybe he was uncomfortable.
He seemed uncomfortable, yes.
But they did give him a gift of Ned Stark's head.
That was funny.
That was awesome. I want one of those. He said he could sell it on eBay, but
yeah,
I don't think I could afford it.
Get a lot of money for that.
Sean got to stay up on the stage when House Stark came out. Kit Harington, Maisie Williams, Sophie, what's her name? Turner.
Oh.
And Isaac Hempstead, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got to see a young old compilation.
Right. They started showing them when they were first in the very first season and as they grew up. We've
watched that shit at least 3 times, those early episodes.
Yeah.
Maybe more. And it's still shocking to see, especially Maisie and Isaac. They were so little.
And then Kit.
Yeah, did you see a stark difference there? Oh, that was funny.
Yes.
He was very young. Oh, clean shaven. That was the big thing, wasn't it?
He looked like just a teenage boy.
Short hair and clean shaven. And he was in his 20s, wasn't he?
I don't know.
I think he was. So that was very cute. Definitely worth watching. And that's when someone, it might have been Sophie, made some jokes about Kit's on-set hangovers.
Yes.
Dark.
Right.
They brought out Christian Nairn, Hodor. He is fucking huge.
Yeah.
They had these like little chairs.
He's really tall.
Really tall. I mean, he's just a big guy.
Yeah, big and tall.
No shame in that, but he is so tall and so wide. I was very disappointed that they didn't bring out the Mountain. I would have liked to see those two together.
Mm.
They never had any on-screen time together. They were always in different parts of the world, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But they did not bring out, even though the whole cast and crew were in this audience, there were a few people that we didn't see.
We only had the Mountain in a couple episodes. They talked about him a lot. But he was really only in like 2, maybe 3 episodes. Well, actually, when he was guarding Cersei for a lot of the time. But.
Right, yeah. And he never spoke. He was just there as an imposing. But I just think it would have been nice to get to know him as a person. Because all we've known.
It'd be nice to get to know everybody.
They didn't have a time limit. It was
I want to know the shame nurse. None.
I was going to say, the shame nurse.
Oh my gosh, Lena Headey. The story she told about she was in the hospital having her daughter, I guess. And she was having a hard time breastfeeding, and the nurse was helping her. And as she was helping her make her milk come out, she says, "Shame."
Squeezing her boobie.
Yeah. That was a hilarious story.
They brought up Liam Cunningham, Davos Seaworth, John Bradley, which is Samwell Tarly, and Rory McCann, the Hound. You finally get to see him without makeup.
Yep.
What do you think of him?
Well, I mean, I've seen a lot of him in interviews and stuff, so it's not like anything new. Although he looks thinner now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think he looks smaller, thinner.
Okay. We did find out that, speaking of thinner, he went on a special diet for a while because they had a scene where he was supposed to be shirtless. It was after he got bitten in the neck by Biter, actually. That was his name, right?
Right.
Escapees. So he did this whole like high protein, low carb, low fat diet and got all like chiseled. And then they didn't make him be shirtless after that.
They're like, well, we don't really need his shirt off.
They brought up House Targaryen, which included Ian Glenn, Jorah Mormont, even though he's not a Targaryen. Well, no one is. And Natalie Emmanuel, also not a Targaryen. Emilia Clarke, the actual Targaryen, and Jacob Anderson. I was kind of hoping they bring up Viserys.
What just about to get her brother?
Yeah. It'd be nice to see him one more time.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple interviews with him.
He'd get on stage, people would be like, boo.
Not the cast and crew in the audience, but he just seems like a really swell guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Good.
He's a nice guy. We found out Amelia had not read any of the books before her casting, but then shame. But then she read the first book 3 times.
And then that was it.
Film. Well, she didn't say if she read many more after that, but to get to know her character. We also found out Ian never understood what Sir Friendzoned meant, even though that's what everyone was calling him behind his back.
Yeah, he understood. That's why he never made it he never tried to do anything with a Khaleesi, my queen.
He tried.
No, he didn't. He didn't make a move.
Well, he wasn't going to try to kiss her, but he was
That's what I mean.
He was trying to prove his worth.
Well, of course, he knew he was not worthy.
I guess that's what happens when you're in the friend zone.
Yep.
Great montage of them trying to learn and speak Dothraki. And then Jason Momoa comes out. Speaking of drinking.
Yeah, he's a drinker.
He brings out a bucket of beer. And he gave one to Conan. And then no one else? I don't know. I mean, maybe he offered. I don't know.
I think he gave some to a couple people.
I think mostly that bucket was for him.
Yeah. He might have a drinking problem.
He just likes to have fun, babe. That's what we learned about him even on this very episode. He just likes to have a good time.
Okay. He does. I know this of him.
He used to moon people on set because he was barely wearing any clothes to begin with.
Oh, yeah. And what's her real name?
Amelia.
Amelia talked about when he had to wear, he was naked. So naturally, he had to cover himself somehow, so that they could do whatever they were going to do with their CGI. But he had a big fluffy pink sock on his wiener.
They call that a cock sock.
Is that what they call that?
Yeah. That's what they call it.
I didn't want to just assume cock sock was what I should call it.
I've heard of those before. Takes all the fun out of filming, doesn't it?
But that's got to be hard to do, and not get aroused just because you're thinking about it. You're like, I've got this thing on my wiener, and automatically, even without even thinking anything sexy, things happen.
Yeah. I mean, I have heard that because you're on a set and so many people are staring at you, that's definitely,
not
helpful.
Very, it doesn't happen very often.
It's a de-arouser. Which
maybe
I guess
it's an arouser for actors, though. I mean, they do the limelight.
I don't know where it was, but I heard someone say once that if you ever thought it'd be so fun to be in porn because you just get to have sex all day, try having sex in front of a whole bunch of people watching and filming you and see if you can really enjoy it. Because apparently that does not work with most people.
Well, some people it does.
Right. And then those people are made for porn.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They did a compare and contrast between filming as Daenerys and filming as Jon Snow and how miserable.
Right.
Maybe that's why he became an alcoholic. Just misery upon misery, just in the ice and rain and sleet. And Dany's just hanging out in these
beach. Morocco, Greece.
All these nice, warm, sunny environments, getting nice food.
Sunburned, and actually she got sun poison.
Sunstroke, yeah.
Yeah, sunstroke.
Ooh. She's had some problems, too. Right? She's had a couple, I think, aneurysms that she had to have brain surgery.
I hope it didn't have anything to do with their sunstroke.
Yeah, that might have been what set it off. They did talk about the final table read. I think this was well publicized, but Kit didn't read anything in advance.
Mm-hmm. So we saw that documentary or whatever it was.
Yeah. He had all these genuine reactions and shock and crying. Benioff and Weiss came out at the very end, but look, it's still worth watching, even if you're still mad at them, like some of us are. They did put big thanks in for George R.R. Martin and how the pilot was terrible, which we've all heard, even though we're all never going to see it.
I wish.
I've looked. It is not out there. No one's ever leaked it, as far as I can tell. It's almost, it's I think maybe we talked about this once, maybe 40 or 50% the same stuff we see in the real pilot, but then some things were reshot and some things were recast, including Daenerys. So yeah, it's not out there. Maybe someday, crossing my fingers. But the big disappointments for me, there was no Tywin Lannister. What was his name? Charles Dance. No Brienne of Tarth.
Yeah, that was surprising.
No Mountain.
Yeah.
Whatever their names are. So that was a little disappointing because I felt like they were big enough. It's not like you need to hear from everybody, but we had Jacob Anderson up there, Grey Worm. He was a cool guy.
Maybe they couldn't get everybody to come.
feel like Brienne could have made time.
Maybe she's filming. Maybe she was filming Star Wars at the time.
True. I feel like the mountain could have come. What else does he have to do?
Who knows? He was probably doing some kind of weight competition. Competition!
Okay. Yeah, maybe. But I really would like to just see him on stage with the other actors. That's all. I want to see him with Hodor.
You want to see him in comparison?
And Brienne, actually. She's a tall lady. Tall, broad-shouldered lady. I'd like to see her on stage next to those two guys. Because that never happened.
I wonder how tall she is. I'm going to say 5'11".
I would look. But I'm not going to. But you're going to look? Okay. Look it up.
Keep talking.
What's her name? I feel bad now. You're going to tell us.
Of course.
I don't remember the mountain's name. I don't remember Brienne's name right now.
Okay, keep talking.
Okay, well, anyway, so look, there's lots of stuff we didn't mention there. That was just a few little tidbits that I decided to take notes on.
Oh my God, that was the second hit, Brienne of Tarth height. Except I got excited and hit backwards.
Oh, okay. Hapthor. That's part of his name.
Gwendolyn Christie.
Gwendolyn Christie. There we go.
She is 6'3".
See? I knew she was tall.
Your height.
Yeah. She's a tall lady.
Wow. Oh, she looks so hot in these pictures.
That's a mountain I could climb. There's only one thing I don't like about her. She smokes.
Oh.
That's kind of gross.
Well, that'll make her ugly in time.
But in pictures, lovely. Yeah. So anyway, it's worth watching. Conan gives a monologue. He tells a couple funny stories. He's a great moderator for the panel because he's just an expert interviewer. So I love that man. And it was filmed. They filmed this special in Belfast.
Yes. Yeah. Exciting.
Where they did a lot of the production work for the show. Most of the show was filmed in Northern Ireland when it wasn't Daenerys's tropical locations.
Well, maybe that was part of the reason why some of the people couldn't come. They couldn't get back to Ireland.
Ireland.
So
let's talk about what's next real quick, and then we can go.
Okay.
I do have a long list of shows that we've been covering, and I've been meaning to look up the dates that some of them are coming back so we can sort of be prepared. And as I'm doing that, I find out that The Handmaid's Tale is coming back in like 2 weeks. So you just scared the dog. So the question is this: do we talk about The Handmaid's Tale on this show, or is it too depressing?
I don't think it's depressing.
Because if we're going to talk about it, I think we should talk about those first few seasons.
Maybe we should ask people if we should talk about it.
Yes, that's kind of what I was getting at. So we could do a little retrospective because it would be good to catch up. And we just watched all these.
Popular. I think it's going to be popular because it's pretty much what society could happen like right now.
It's scary. Like we came close. We fucking came close. I guess the original book does not go into that much detail about what happened in the before times of The Handmaid's Tale, but the show does. And we came close on January 6th.
We didn't see it, though.
They stormed the Capitol. Season. They were going to kill the vice president. They were going to kill a few other key, leaders.
Right.
Political leaders.
I mean, some people say that they weren't really going to do that, but they could have very well. And
if they had gotten...
It was just happenstance that they didn't open the right door.
Yeah. And at least one very smart Capitol guard that got some people out of the way so Mitt Romney didn't get lynched. Love him or hate him, and I'm not exactly a fan. I didn't want to see him get lynched.
No, nobody deserves that. Jeez.
So, hell of a time.
Well, except for maybe Trump.
Well, we can't
be double standard.
We certainly don't believe that Trump should be lynched.
No?
A former president with Secret Service detail. No, we want him to live out the rest of his years healthy and not happy. He's never happy anyway. He's a whiny bitch.
Did you hear about this thing? He just had a press conference Saturday and still is whining the same shit.
Election was stolen.
Blah, blah, Mike Pence should have stood up. And
no one's heard from Mike Pence since January 6th.
Well, I just did read today that Mike Pence during that raid was calling for the FBI or National Guard, I think it was. He was calling them saying, please come help us.
Yeah, but didn't Trump say they weren't allowed to?
Yep.
It's a shame we don't have consequences for people in power in this country.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a real shame.
Ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, so The Handmaid's Tale just feels like it felt like we came close. So The Handmaid's Tale really just feels kind of eerie. But yes. So how do you guys feel about us talking about The Handmaid's Tale? If you think it's a dumb idea and you don't want to see it, let us know. If you've seen it, it's too depressing. If there's something else you'd rather we talk about. But since Handmaid's Tale is coming up soon, we need to make that decision. So let us know what you think. Yay, nay. It's on Hulu. For those of you not aware, it is a pretty great show.
It is.
Sometimes a downer. But it's a downer in the same way the Game of Thrones is. Just frustrating. Like, you never quite get what you want. Like, you keep waiting for the hero to do this, and then something bad happens. Same kind of feeling. Just keeps you on edge, but very engaging. Mm-hmm. Loved that show once we finally started watching it. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. Let us know what you think. You can reach us via email, jeff@potofthrones.com.
Jennifer@potofthrones.com.
Or Twitter's a good place to reach out, at Pot of Thrones.
Or at Kid Free Weekend.
We would love to hear from you. And did we get anything else wrong about the DC Universe? I also want to know that.
Probably.
Are you doing anything interesting for this marathon? Let us know. But either way, one way or another, we will be back with something, whether it's a retrospective on the first few seasons of The Handmaid's Tale or something else. If you guys hate that idea, maybe we'll go a different direction. Maybe we'll zig and zag like a Rickon should have.
Yeah.
We'll see. But we will be back soon.
Hasta luego.
You know what? For old time's sake, on this 10th anniversary, I got to give this episode a good old Valamokulis.